Hey, thanks for joining us on Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. We're glad that you're here rocking with us. And, I'm really, really excited about this week's show. Goodness as always. We got music industry news, beats by yours truly. And then we have special guest Monique Nikkole joining us a little bit later. So I'm just thrilled about this. How about you?
Yeah, well, it's making me think about that old phrase I used to use when I was a teenager, and that phrase is "show you right." Okay, so I'm happy, I'm excited myself, and I'm ready to get it going.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today for Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. I am thrilled, excited. We're delighted that we have the one, the only Monique Nikkole in the virtual building with us. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Great, great. So, if you could just give a little bit of background for everybody out there listening, who is Monique Nikkole? Tell us a little bit about, what you've been doing and when you discovered that you needed music to be a part of your life and all that good stuff.
Oh, wow. I've been singing since I could pretty much talk. And I went into the music world probably about professionally as a singer. 2015 is when I dropped my first single. But previous to that, I was doing artist management and, I owned a few studios and I worked in a supporting role, helping other artists, achieve their dreams. But in 2015, I decided to invest in myself. So that's when I had dropped my first single, Say Yes. And, I got pretty lucky and was blessed that the single did really well here in the States and abroad. And that's where it pretty much began for me as a solo artist.
Now you know that when you help other people achieve what they're trying to achieve, it always comes back and opens doors for you. So I'm just elated to hear what you just said in your opening statement.
Oh, thank you. I had a passion to help others, and I had a passion to also, stay connected to the music business. And, my parents, they didn't really support being an artist per se. They felt that music was more of a hobby than a profession. So, I listened pretty much, and, I went to school. I wound up, having a career in law enforcement, which I just retired from in April. And, while being able to satisfy, what I needed as far as being within the industry in those capacities. But I'm happy that, at some point I did push forward and, be able to, to live my dream a little bit. A lot, I should say. So, yeah. So it's been going well. For the most part, you got your peaks and valleys, because the business is not easy. It's not, it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. And, but it keeps going up. So we're going in the right direction, which is great.
Yeah, that's what's up. And, what you were saying about what your parents said about it not, being for a career, but maybe a hobby. You're not alone. There are a lot of people who've experienced that. It's always like, oh, well, make sure you have something to fall back on. But it's really cool that you found a way to still be involved in it, even if you weren't practicing your artistry as it was, but to be able to help others, like you had mentioned, that's really cool. So, since you had that experience, how much of that have you been able to use to help you yourself as an artist? Like, how did that kind of shape how you move within the industry now?
Well, it helped me enormously because, you reading contracts, you're doing this, you're doing that a lot. You're doing a lot in the management capacity. So, I was managing myself up until about 2 years ago. So, it allowed me to have the knowledge base to be able to navigate, throughout the industry, not just as an artist, but also as a representative of myself. So, knowledge is power always. So it definitely did help. And, you know, I'm independent. I have my own label. And I've had labels previously with other artists signed to me. So I'm signed to myself now currently. So it helps a lot. It definitely helps. You should know the business that you're within. Because music is a business. And if you don't know the business side, you're gonna have a problem.
Well said. Well said. Wouldn't you say, Breezy?
Oh yes, oh yeah. But see, now you have a very calm and calming demeanor. Okay, right, and so which leads you to come across as a very influential person in the industry. Okay, and so, you know, which I give you kudos for that. And so you've got advantages that others don't have, which is a good thing. So, you know, I'm just happy to sit back and absorb you and what you're saying and the way you're saying it today.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah. Good stuff. So now you were raised in Brooklyn, right?
Yes. Born and raised in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Can I yell at the side, Brooklyn?
Of course. You already know. Brooklyn is always in the house.
Yeah. So yeah, we gotta know about how that's shaped you musically as well.
Yes. Well, Brooklyn, it's a melting pot. And you know, coming from parents that are like, my father was from down south, my mother's from the Caribbean. And living in Brooklyn, and it's just multicultural. So you would hear a lot of those influences come out in my music. And I think it was like a huge benefit to me being able to grow up in Brooklyn, you know, through a great era, few great musical eras, you know. Like I have a mixtape where, you know, that was produced by my brother, which had a whole bunch of like guest DJs on it. And it was called Straight from the Crates. And, you know, that came up from being in Brooklyn, going to these block parties, you know, and MCs coming through and rocking the mic. But instead of that, I was singing on different tracks that they were cutting up or whatever. So that was just like such a dope era to live through, you know. It's just, you know, you had that. Then you had, of course, the reggae. You had soca. You had Eastern Parkway. You know, that was popping off every Labor Day. I didn't live too far from there. So I had so much around me that has affected me and my artistry. So I'm thankful that I grew up in Brooklyn. Brooklyn is a huge part of me that would never leave. It's like once from Brooklyn, always from Brooklyn. So it's like no matter where I go, you know, that's where I represent. And people know as soon as you open your mouth anyway, because I have an accent. Like I'm here in the South. I'm out in I'm north of Atlanta. And no matter where I go, they're like, "Oh, from New York. You from New York?" It's like, yeah, I'm from New York. Like I can't hide it. It's just not gonna change, you know. So yeah, it's a huge part of who I am for sure.
Beautiful. So wait, so that means y'all been in the same states, Breezy, because he was born in New York and now he's in Georgia and Atlanta. So yeah, y'all got some stuff in common, huh?
Okay.
Well, that's my homegirl right there. That's my homegirl right there.
Okay, homie. Well, Breezy, where in New York were you born?
Well, see, okay, here we go. Now, I'm a New Yorker, but now I'm okay. People are quick to say, "Oh no, you ain't from New York." See, I'm a Niagara Falls guy. Okay, so but see, growing up, I spent a lot of time traveling to New York and back and forth. But you know, there are that has its liabilities, because there are folks that will say, "Where are you from?" I say Niagara Falls. Oh, you're not from New York. But then on the other hand, there are a bunch that they recognize that. And as a matter of fact, there was a Niagara Falls, Atlanta reunion every summer.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of tailed off with COVID, So I'm just very hopeful that you'll get back reorganized again. But enough of me. This spotlight's on you. So let's keep that flow going. Because the listeners, I'm sure they're loving what they're hearing from.
Oh
yeah. So okay, now just this is the question that we normally ask, is how would you describe your music for somebody that's new to you, that's listening now, that's never checked you out? How would you describe it? I see that it's raw soul music laced with a touch of satin. That's so beautiful.
That is, when I say, the best description. Still, that does encompass what I do, especially my earliest catalog up until my little bit of a style flip with this latest single, Red Bottoms and Lingerie. But yeah, I think that's a really good description. And what I would add to that, I think that my music takes you through a timeless ride, through life, through just it's a little something for everybody in there. It really is. Some people will pull up my Christmas album, be, oh my God, they're doing jazz and traditional gospel. It's like, okay, that's a lane that some people might not have known about, although the first single was a smooth jazz R&B, but it's quite a ride, and it's a smooth ride though, for the most part. So yeah, I think I would add that to the description. It's time. The music is timeless.
And that's key right there, because a lot of people do make stuff to where they just kind of focus on what's hot right now, and it'll be really hot right now, but when it's not timeless, it kind of fizzles out, and you listen back like, man, why do we like this? So it's really refreshing that you sticking with the timeless stuff, because that's the stuff that you can keep going back to. It doesn't matter how many months, years, whatever have passed. When it still just kind of hits you, you can still feel it. Like that's the classic stuff, the feel good stuff, the stuff I like to listen to.
Yeah. I mean, I still listen to the same music that I grew up on, and it's just as good then as it is now. Mm-hmm. And for me, as a music creator, that is just so important. Mm-hmm. It's so important that you put art out there. It's art. Yeah. And you don't want art to just get old and not mean anything. It needs to mean something later on. It needs to make somebody feel something. So, that's important no matter what kind of record I'm making.
Right. Now, you mentioned that you kind of switched up styles a little bit with this new single, Red Bottoms and Lingerie. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And I know you had a very special feature on there as well. So, yeah.
Yes. My manager, Michael Stemley, brought this record to me. And I said to him, wow. I mean, that's exactly what I said. I'm like, wow, that's different. He's like, yeah, I know, it's hot. And I'm like, yeah, it is a hot record. And I kind of was questioning myself, well, those short cadences and stuff like that. I said, I'm one that'll drag a note out forever. So I'm like, all right. And then I viewed it as a challenge. I got issues. If you challenge me, I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. So we did it. I mean, I loved the record. It was very well written. it was just a different sound altogether. And I went for it. And so we did it. I actually recorded it here in Atlanta. And then it was like, okay, well, I think we need a rapper on here. And he was like, I agree. I'm like, well, what do you have in mind? And he's mentioning women. So I'm like, okay, but I think it'll be better to have a guy on here so you have that dynamic of male, female kind of going back and forth. And he's like, nah, it'd be good to have, you and get like a sexy rapper and, it's both of y'all in rap. I'm like, yeah, that's cool too. But I'm like, I really think a guy dynamic with a female will work better. So we were kicking it back and forth. And my brother, he's also on my team. And he's like, well, what about Little Flip? And I'm like, oh, out of Texas? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, let's see. So so he calls up his management and here we are. He writes this verse. Well, he don't write, he freestyles off the top of his head. I'll get back to how I know that later. So he does this verse, he sends it to me. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, okay, this is hot, great. So that's how it all came together. Now, when we did the video, I flew out to Houston. And we shot the video and everything, and that was pretty dope. Now it's time, to do video submission, for MTV and BET. Shouts to them. They played it, they ran with it. It's great. Still on Music Choice, still spinning there too. And it's time for closed caption. So I call Flip and I'm like, can you send your lyric sheet? He's like, I'm sorry, I don't have one. And I'm like, oh. I was like, you freestyled that? He's like, yeah. He's like, he don't write nothing down.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, oh, okay. So, all right, thank you. So I had to actually sit there and, we don't have like back in the days with the little pause. How you got the space where you pause it or whatever. And I'm sitting there and I'm trying to catch every word.
Wow.
And,
just transcribing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's what I had to do. Type it up and then send it, So, when they run it on TV, they have the lyric sheet because you have to have that. So anyway, so that's how that came together. That's how that came together. And the record is still moving, still spinning, still on commercial radio. It's doing well. It's currently 37 on the chart. So that's pretty dope.
That's phenomenal. Yeah.
Little independent, So yeah, that's the story of that record right there.
Well, congratulations. Yeah, hats off to you, right, Breeze?
That's right. And walking with a big stick there. A big stick. So yeah, that's strong.
Thank you so much.
Kudos.
Yeah. So, we're getting close to the time to wind it down. But yeah, we'd love to have you back, so we could talk a little bit more, because I know that there's a lot of wisdom and stories that you have to share. We could already tell from, what you share with us so far. So yeah, we'd love to have you back again sometime soon.
Oh, of course. I'd love to come back and sit with you guys again, for sure. Absolutely.
Great. So, definitely before we head out, you got to make sure that everybody knows where they can follow you, where they can listen to your music and, all the good stuff that you got coming up.
Oh, absolutely. You can follow me at Monique Nikkole everywhere. And Nikkole is Nikkole. So it's not the common spelling. Monique is. And if you just Google me, you'll find all my links. That's like the easiest way. But my IG at Monique Nikkole. MoniqueNikkole, and that's everywhere. Facebook, IG, Twitter, TikTok, whatever. That's how you find me. And my website is MoniqueNikkolemusic.com. And you can reach me through my website directly as well.
Awesome. Breezy, you have any closing thoughts or questions before we head out?
This is a cool drink, a cool, tasty drink, because you've brought forth education, experience, real time, talk about the past a little bit, talk about the future a little bit. So, I guess you're the straw that stirs all of that up. And so we're glad that you've joined us today, and looking forward to more. And I hope our listeners, I know they agree. And so I'm just hopeful that you find a spot to come back and join us in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And thank your audience for embracing me and tuning in. I appreciate you all.
Absolutely, positively.
Yeah, can't wait to have you back.
Have a great day.
Yeah, that was really, really delightful. I really enjoyed hearing her story with that rich background that she's had, and then just go ahead and dive into what she really wants to do. Music is just really inspiring, and I really, really enjoyed having her on the show.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's the spotlight is on women, which I think is a very, very meaningful spotlight. Okay. And so, there's a lot of folks in there, but, I have an extra twinkle in my eye when there's a woman in the spotlight. So, hey, that was a good one today.
Awesome. Yep. Be on the lookout, because we got some more coming up pretty soon. So, this might basically just kind of be like a new Women's Month thing. But it's always good to highlight sisters doing amazing things and sharing their talent and wisdom with us.
Yeah, because getting her in the mix to do an interview today is a really, really great thing. So, hey, I'm looking forward.
All right. Okay, we're going to take a beat break, and then we'll be back with music industry news right after this.
Okay.
or in Chicago, New York, or Los Angeles. It is business. Big business.
Okay, and we're back with music industry news. First up, Sony's AWOL buyout has raised some competition concerns in the UK. So back in May, when they announced that they completed the acquisition of two companies from Cobalt, so one was AWOL plus their neighboring rights company. So that same week, the UK's competition watchdog, if you will, the Competition and Markets Authority, said that they'd be investigating it. So the buyout was valued at $430 million. So they were kind of checking it out to make sure nothing shady was kind of going on, make sure there weren't any anti-competitive practices in place. And so they started the inquiry at the beginning of July. So now Sony has 5 working days to address their concerns. And if it's unable to do so, then the deal will be referred to for an in-depth phase 2 investigation. So we'll see what will come of that. It's always good to kind of have those checks and balances in place, because a lot of times there are like underlying deals that most of us in the public aren't really aware of. So, we'll be keeping an eye on that and definitely letting you know more as soon as we have more information.
Okay, good deal.
Spotify officially launches Blend, which allows friends to match their musical tastes and make playlists together. So users who create a blend, which is their shared playlist, they'll get a taste match score, and it shows them how similar or different their listening preferences are compared to other people. So after the blend's created for the first time, the taste match score is put up there as a percentage, and then it'll show the text that lets the users know which songs actually bring them together. So, a pretty cool feature. It's been in beta for a while, but now it's been rolled out on, a more massive level. So cool things happening over there at Spotify.
Yeah, shout out to them. Mm-hmm.
And, I'm a Michigan girl, so I had to share this information, but Dearborn Music just opened a new record store in downtown Farmington last week. The store celebrated its 65th year in business all summer long. And so the brothers who own it, Rick and Kevin Leonias, I believe, bought the business from their father back in 2001. And so, the new one just opened up in September on the 2nd. And, it's just good things. I love it when record stores can thrive. There's a lot of people that have been kind of gravitating towards having those physical copies. Digital is really nice. Love it. But yeah, there's just something about holding those albums in your hands, like looking at the liner notes while you're laying back listening. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh man, you can't beat that.
Oh.
You can't beat that at all. That's a big loss that's taken place for about how many years? Okay, so to have that in there, that's a great thing.
Yes, absolutely. And so, for the people in the Charlotte area, major label representatives are attending the first Charlotte Hornets Music Industry Night of the 2021 through 22 season. So according to the founder, DJ Chuck T, he says that representatives from Def Jam and Interscope will be in attendance. The first one that they had brought the music scene together and kind of gave an opportunity for aspiring musicians to be heard and get the chance to network. And so for this season, the first one's going to kick off Sunday, October 31st. So great opportunity for anybody interested, anybody that's in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. Definitely take advantage of that if you have the opportunity to do so.
Well, we gotta give a shout out to the NBA and other associations like that, National Basketball Association, because that's the trend leader in the connection between sports and hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
They've been making some long strides for years in that regard. So with halftime shows, with all kinds of tie-ins to the hip hop music culture. And so a real shout out to them, because baseball, soccer, football, they're not doing it to that extent. So
right.
Basketball, b-ball, you got it.
Absolutely. Yes. All right, some good news for gamers out there. Facebook expands their access to licensed music for game streams. So now streamers in both the partner and level up categories on Facebook Gaming can play songs from hundreds of music labels, publishers, and societies. So of course this includes the big major three, Universal, Warner, and Sony. And the deals will cover live broadcasts as well as archived streams and clips that viewers make from the streams. So this was kind of the problem that Twitch had ran into. So, anytime the clips were there that had music that they didn't have licensed, the clips were being erased. So a lot of people were losing their content. But Facebook Gaming is making, some efforts to make sure that this doesn't happen to people in those levels of subscriptions. So, if you're looking for another place, I wouldn't say leave Twitch just yet. I'm still, rooting for them. But this offers an alternative for you if that's something that's important to you.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, I went to a well-known electronics store early in the morning, and I rushed to get there because I needed some wiring and such. And I got there at 9:05 a.m. And when I got there, there was a long line winding throughout the entire parking lot. I'm like, oh no, do they have a sale on or whatever? But it turned out that all of those folks were in that long line because they were gamers, and there was a new game out that was becoming released that morning. And I was stunned at the number of people that were there waiting on that. So meantime, I was able to go in the store, get my wiring, and then come back out. But no, they were just their mindset was that they got to get that game, they had to get, and that's what they were there for. So shout out to the gamers.
Yes, it's a big culture, and we're starting to see a lot more intersection between that and music artists, especially independent artists. It's so much potential because gamers love to listen to music, and a lot of people who make music love to game. So we're seeing more and more of this collaboration taking place. So I'm excited, to see what's to come.
Oh yeah, I am too.
Okay, big news from YouTube. They've surpassed 50 million subscribers. So, it's free for everybody, but a lot of people are going ahead and jumping on board with the YouTube Premium and, all that good stuff. So the last subscriber figure that they announced publicly was over 30 million, and that was back in October of 2020. So this means that YouTube has grown its base by approximately 1.8 million subscribers per month since October of 2020. Bananas, wow. Isn't it?
It is. Oh my God. Well, that goes to show that no matter what kind of product that is, whether it's a food product or whether it's a physical type of product or music or whatever, people will purchase varying levels of that product. Okay, so there's going to be some that want the average, but there's going to be some that want the best. And so there they go. They're paying for the premium, and I understand exactly why it's growing.
Yeah, yep. Perfect example. SiriusXM and SoundCloud debut a hip-hop channel called SoundCloud Radio. Now this is out very temporarily, so it's available. It started on Wednesday, and it'll be running through the 17th online on the SiriusXM mobile app, satellite, vehicles, and on the SiriusXM channel 105. So if that's something that you're interested in checking out while it's available for the limited time, please go ahead and do that. There's a few more days left to kind of check it out and absorb what they got going on there.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. So, they didn't say it, but I imagine it's kind of a trial run. I bet if they, get good numbers, a lot of people tuned in, it's something they may try again.
Well, you said a key word, you said a key phrase right there, numbers, statistics. Okay, so whether you're the advanced hip hop artist or whether you're just starting out the gate, statistics are extremely important. So keep track of everything. Keep track of any kind of thing that has anything to do with numbers. Write it in a book. Keep track, because that will help guide you down the road in your various aspect of whatever business you're involved with. So statistics rule. They really do.
Stellar advice right there. I hope everybody wrote that down. All right. Yeah, Amazon is reportedly building a music-focused live audio feature. So, according to Axios, it's supposed to be similar to platforms like Clubhouse, Twitter Spaces, and Spotify's Green Room, but focusing specifically on music. So, Amazon's been pretty cool about how they're kind of watching how other people are doing things, but then taking the idea and refining it for their audience. So this will be something to definitely keep an eye on, especially if you're listening to this show, then this is going to be right up your alley. So it'll be more conversations about music, and definitely something to take advantage of once it's available on a wider basis.
Okay. With it.
Yeah. All right. And, we had mentioned before Tencent was having some trouble. And once they were kind of looked at by the antitrust crackdown that was going on, they have to give up their music label exclusivity. So, they're basically just running the whole entire market in China. Like beforehand, before these regulations got put in place, they would license music from the major labels, and then any other streaming service that wanted to license it had to go through Tencent in order to license it. So, they paid up, and they kind of almost like a pyramid scheme type deal, if you will. So, they've been kind of going through some things to kind of get things regulated back out. But, surprisingly enough, it hasn't really affected their bottom line as of yet. But we'll kind of see what's going on there. So, yes, they finally were forced to give it up on last Tuesday it was. So they own more than 80% of exclusive music library resources in China. So they were just raking it in. Whoa. And so, yeah. So yeah, we'll see how that goes for them in the coming months. And once again, once we know more, we'll make sure that we keep you posted too.
Hey.
All right, good news. PPL and Viva Sound are tackling inaccurate recordings metadata. Metadata is so important. So let's see, I hope I'm not really dating myself too much here, but remember getting the CDs from people? Like maybe you went to a show, you bought it or whatever, grabbed it, popped it in, and all you see is track 1 or track 2.
Yeah.
That's because it's missing metadata. And what's so bad about that is, one, back when I was DJing a local internet radio station, I would get these, I'd go to put them in, and there wouldn't be any information on it. Who am I supposed to shout out if your stuff is not attached to the CD? So that's one, from the physical aspect. But two, from the digital aspect, if you don't have the appropriate metadata for your tracks, you cannot get paid the way that you're supposed to. If they can't, they're not going to hunt you down if you're sending this stuff in, track 1, track 2, track 3, your name's not linked to it. How are you going to get paid? So, that's one thing. But now for inaccurate metadata, they're working with Viva Sound's service, Viva Collect, that's going to have file sharing and credits. So that way there will be an international performer number, or IPN, of a recording artist as part of the metadata, which makes sure that if the recordings have the proper credits, then the accurate data will get reported. So that way the right people will get paid. So this is good news. So yeah, I can't stress enough how awesome this is, because metadata is so important.
Yes. And additionally, now see, for the listeners out there right now, you can tell just by what she said, what Achickwitbeatz said, is that she's not a beginner. Okay, so when you hear her speak, she's speaking of experience. She's been there and done that, because see, some people may not have heard you slide that through when you say back when I was a DJ. Okay, all right. So see, again, when you listen to this show, you're listening to professionalism and experience in many means, in many ways. So that right there is one of the pieces of data that verifies that, right?
Well, thank you. Yes. And so, oh, yeah, just a little bit of good news. Just this is more of a shout out, if you will. But Anita Baker says it's okay to stream her music again. I know we shared with you some months ago that she asked people to stop because she had outlived her contracts with the labels, but they still didn't want to return her masters. And so, she shared publicly that her babies are back home. So yeah, go ahead and run those numbers up for her.
Oh man. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's quite a lady right there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and so it's a lot of stuff that's been going on since the lockdowns had started. During the whole pandemic, and one of them is Elton John has announced a star-studded album called The Lockdown Sessions. So stuff that he was taking advantage of during the extra time, like a lot of artists have been doing. And so, it's a 16-track record that includes 10 unreleased songs and collaborations with Stevie Wonder, Stevie Nicks, Miley Cyrus, Lil Nas X, Dua Lipa. Like, it's so many people. But, it's kind of cool. Yeah, to see somebody that popular working with other very celebrated artists to put music out during the lockdown, because a lot of reports talked about how people felt like music kind of helped them keep their sanity through this all. So good stuff.
Very good stuff.
Yeah. And speaking of the pandemic, Highway 77 Music Festival has decided to postpone because of COVID concerns. So they're not putting it on this year. They're going to go ahead and wait until next year. In addition to that, there are more and more venues deciding to request proof of vaccine or negative tests. Like, these stories keep just piling in. So once again, something to kind of keep in mind if you're hoping to get back out to live shows, although many of them have been canceled or postponed because of this. So with that in mind, I'm glad to share that on Achickwitbeatz.com, I received a guest post from Emma Grace Brown, who decided to write about how to keep a paycheck until entertainment industry restrictions are lifted. So if you're interested in that, make sure you check that out. She's done her research. It's incredibly thorough. There's links for you to click if you want to research any of that stuff. So, very, very good stuff, to keep the money flowing while we're kind of figuring out where we're going to be at as far as live music goes going forward.
And where did they go to find that again?
That is Achickwitbeatz.com. Check out the resources for artists. And you'll find that post there by Emma Grace Brown. Shout out to her for the hard work that she did putting that together.
There you go. Achickwitbeatz.com. Okay.
Yes. All right, and that's a wrap for this week's edition of Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. We're glad that you tuned in to rock with us, and we really, really, really want you to come back next week.
Same.
All right, and we'll be back same time, same place. Tune in, tell a friend, and we'll see you then. Peace.
Sounds good. Peace.